What's going on, growers? James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. It is November 23rd today. We're still out in the garden having a lot of fun. I wanted to bring you along for the next step in how I turn what most people call waste into garden fertility. Let's go. It's been 4 days since we put our compost pile together. It's cooking up nice and warm. I'll show you guys. What we're gonna need today is our trusty pitchfork, so important, and also some water. If it needs a little more water, as we're flipping it, we'll notice if it's dry or not, we'll do that. So let me just take this off the compost pile, and it's been 4 days. We're going with the Berkeley method of composting. Let's pull this off. You can see, if you check out the video I just did 4 days ago, you'll notice it shrank down a lot. So that's telling me we're cooking. We've got a lot of activity up top here, a lot of life. So I think I'm gonna break this open. We're gonna see a lot of steam pouring out. Last video, when we got all this together, we layered everything, we sourced all the material. That's gonna be, the majority of the work. Next thing, what we're gonna be doing here is just rotating the order. So we're gonna put what's on top, on the bottom, and just keep that layering going. So what I'm gonna do here is just make sure I got a good section to rotate into. Again, when we're doing this kind of composting, aeration is really important. You'll notice it by the smell. So when I walked over to this compost pile, one thing I noticed is it already had that almost kind of sweet composty smell, as opposed to an anaerobic stink and slime. So let's get into the center of it, see if it's cooking up nicely, and see how it actually is composting. Again, what we're gonna do is just reverse the layering of how we put it on. So if everything's good, there should be some heat coming out of this. As you can see, that good amount of heat coming out, cooking up. And this composting process, we could have sped this up by cutting up all this material. The smaller you dice the material up, the quicker it will compost. So we have some long tomato stems and stuff, but I think that's gonna be fine. We don't need this compost necessarily in a week or two. If it takes a little longer, that's okay. So what we're gonna make sure we're doing is keeping this watered. You'll notice a lot of this material I dropped down first. It's not really broken down at all. That's because it was at the top. I talked last video how you have to have a certain amount of weight, a certain amount of compression in order for that cooking process to go on. That's why we need at least 3 feet high and 3 feet wide. After I get into this, scoop this, you'll notice this is really cooking. This is where it's happening. So this part should be cooking up. We should see some good heat coming from this one. As you can see right here, this is the good stuff cooking, already breaking down. So when we're mixing, what we want to do is mix some of this microbiological life around into here too. Move it around and get this process breaking down quicker. If we just left that there, it would still compost down and break down, but by mixing it, we're adding more air and moving those microorganisms around, creating a great environment for this process to happen even quicker. Got a little plastic in there. So we're gonna make sure we're continuing to water this down, keeping it about 3 feet wide. And a number of you mentioned in the comments that you said you do your composting right in the garden. You guys said that you take your food scraps and stuff and just lay them underneath some of your plants in the winter and then let them have that whole season to break down. And that's a great way to do it. You can do that and it works well, but there's a number of reasons why I chose to do hot composting. One of the main reasons is I already have the wood chips down in my garden. So they're constantly breaking down, helping to feed the soil. This hot composting process is going to do a few different things. What it's going to do is it's going to get a really high bacteria dominated soil or compost, which I really want, because I found that Jeff Lawns mentioned it, and I see it to be true that a lot of the animals, a lot of the green plants, they like a high bacteria dominated soil. So my wood chips add a lot of the fungus, which is great to fight off diseases and different things like that, because funguses do those things. They're great for immune systems, but I want to make sure I'm getting all the life that I can possibly get in the soil. And I think this is the way to do it. There's going to be a little more work than just laying it in the garden. But one of the main goals of this is to get that compost tea. I know you guys have heard of compost tea, the secret ingredient. Everyone loves it. So what I'm gonna do is be able to build this one compost pile and make a lot of compost tea. I'll be using it in the garden, in the greenhouse, and I'll be able to feed it to my plants directly. So one compost pile, you know, it's not gonna make a really lot of compost pile, but you can make a lot of compost tea.
It's looking like a limb torn off, or all together just taken apart. We're reeling through an endless fall. We are the ever-living ghosts of what once was. But no one is ever gonna love you more than I do. No one's gonna love you more than I do. And anything to make you smile, it is a better side of you to admire.
Another reason I like making the hot compost pile is because it's just fun to me. I think it's awesome to have your hand in part of the cycle. To get something that most people would just see as absolute garbage and throw away, and to be able to use it to grow food. I guess it's like the epitome of one man's trash is another man's treasure. All about perspective. Last video I talked about how things like ash, I don't add those directly to my garden. One of the reasons is because they're so concentrated. That's really going to throw off the pH of your garden, the overall balance of your garden, and it could disturb a lot of the insect life, and a lot of the microbiological life too. So we don't want to mess with the fungus or any of that kind of stuff in the garden. The only thing we add are things that are in lower concentration. So I've got a bunch of ashes in here. I've got a good amount of manure, and you can't even tell. That's how we like it. By the time this process is over, you'll never know that I put ashes in here, but the nutrients, the minerals, everything that's locked in those ashes will be opened up in our compost pile. So it's gonna be fantastic. Nothing better, in my opinion, nothing better for your plants than a homemade compost. This may not be the most exciting or thing to watch, but to me, it's very fascinating to be able to do this in your own backyard. To work, this is working with nature another way. Use nature, use the microbiological life, the organisms, all that kinds of things to do the work for you. They're gonna convert what was waste into the best stuff you can add to your garden. You can see we're getting that height back. A lot of it compressed as it was breaking down. And she's looking nice. So what we'll do is get this nice and watered and make sure we got all this stuff here. We don't want to lose anything. We'll have to come back out in 2 days or so, 2 or 3 days to mix it again. The more we're mixing it and watering it and taking care of it, the quicker it's going to break down.
But it should never take so long just to be over there.
If you guys notice, take note, it's
another one.
It's about at my waist. We'll come back in like 2 days, it'll be down there.
No one is ever gonna love you more than I do. No one's gonna love you more than I do.
I suggest you wear gloves too. I didn't because, you know me, I usually like playing in this stuff. This isn't necessarily something you want to play in, but I just forgot to put them on. I want to make sure this thing is thoroughly saturated. Because again, this life in here, it's basically aquatic. It's not going to be able to compost and break down if it doesn't have adequate water, adequate moisture.
Someone, they should have warned you. Things start splitting at the seams now. The whole thing's tumbling down.
And it's definitely smelling like a compost pile. It doesn't smell bad. If you do this right, it won't smell bad. All right, we flipped it and rotated it. We got it all watered. Now we're just gonna cover it up with the tarp again.
Things start splitting at the seams now. It's tumbling down.
Oh, this guy. We gotta watch out for this guy though. I don't wanna make sure Tuck's not eating any of the rotting fruit, because this guy likes to get in there, but he also likes to have a good time. Hey, hey, hey. It's a little cold out here, but Tuck doesn't mind. If I'm out here, he's out here. This guy's loyal, right? Head of garden security. Even on the time off, season's off, he doesn't stop. He's still checking his spots. We got the pile covered with the tarp. I'm just gonna drop these bricks down so it doesn't blow away. In a few days, we'll come back out and do that same process of mixing it. And I'll bring you along for it if you wanna see it. Just let me know down in the comment section. And this time of year, you know, some people don't like coming out here because it's freezing cold, but I myself, I love doing it. I love getting out here and I love investing any way I can. I know that all labor is profit. So all those things I'm doing out here, I know they're all gonna add up to better things, to better harvests, and to more knowledge even. So I encourage you guys to get out there. When you're out here, sometimes, like I said, it can be like a little bitter, but once you get inside, you know, to have that feeling, that satisfaction that you got out there, you invested, you did what you could, it's a great feeling, and it helps you sleep better at night, I think. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I gotta spend some time playing with Tuck out here. We're having a lot of fun, and if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Don't forget to check us out on Steam. We're gonna be continue to posting as the season progresses, and we're investing next year. See you guys in the next one. Me and Tuck, we out.